Hey, Heat fans, we are at 2012 Flames Development Camp. A lot of Abbotsford Heat players here at Winsport Canada Olympic Park, the new home of Hockey Canada. And Greg Nemisz has been to a few development camps before. We caught up with the second-year AHL veteran and chatted development camp. So, Greg, tell us about the offseason. What's the focus been?
It's been speed and explosive power for sure. I'm changed up my training regimen a little bit. I've been going into Gary Roberts in Toronto and trying that out this summer, and it's been great.
Nemo is obviously a complete player. You know, he can play in all three zones. He can kill penalties. He can play on the power play. I thought he was bigger and stronger. It was the first time in like 3 summers that Greg didn't have to play to the Memorial Cup, and all of a sudden put himself ready to play in the American League. Like, we lost the year before, we had made the playoffs, so we had plenty of training. I thought it paid off. The next step for Greg is not so much to prove whether he's a good American League player, it's to prove that he can play in the National Hockey League. So this is the next step for him coming into this season, make sure that he's an everyday player up at that level.
Does his maturity seem beyond just a second-year pro and a guy that was in his 21-year-old season?
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. We look at Nemo as a pretty mature, pretty complete guy. Like, he lives a good life, he trains a good life. He's a mature kid. He understands what he's got to do, and now we just got to provide him the opportunity. And now the biggest thing that we all have in life is we have to seize the opportunity. He has to seize it.
You know what? I think Nemo's taken huge strides. And one thing for him, I always thought he was shy and quiet guy when he used to come to camp when I was playing. And now he just seems like a take-charge kind of guy. He's, his skating, he did so well in the testing. I mean, he's really becoming a true pro. And I think it's a time for him to kind of make that next step. And, he's going to be pushing hard to make this team this year right out of training camp.
He was up, I believe, 3 times last year, and the last one drew the best reviews. What did you see in that last time up from Greg?
Well, he finally, I think instead of deferring to the other guys, he said, hey, I belong here. And that's the one thing that's hard for people to do. I mean, you come up and all of a sudden maybe people you love watching playing against, you're dreaming about playing against these guys and you're there, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is a little bit, like you get watching them. But the last time he was been there, he was more engaged. He was quick on the forechecks. He was strong on pucks. He was skating better and trying to use his size and shot. I mean, and that's what he's got to do. He can't just stand around and watch these other guys. He's got to get engaged.
This year I definitely haven't been on the ice as much. I will in the latter half of the summer, but to this point I haven't skated a whole lot. It's been more focused on things I got to do physically in the gym.
What do you make of the crop here, the young guys and some of your teammates and guys that you played against with, like Breener? I mean, there's a nice span. You're one of the older guys now.
Yeah, the young guys look really good, and they're really talented. And it's nice to be here with the old guys that you've been through a couple of camps with.
Yeah, I thought he was older than he was when I first met him. I honestly just didn't know who he was. I'm like, this guy is like 30. I thought he was like a vet, and he obviously played big minutes his first year, and he's probably one of the smartest hockey players I've ever played with, and he really helps with my game as a defenseman too. He just talks to me and just kind of shows me the ropes of being a pro.
Does that guy give you some confidence moving forward, seeing how far he's come and he's just 21?
Yeah, for sure. He's progressed a lot. Even last year, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, he looked day and night, and what he can do with the puck's amazing.
I thought he had a good year this year. I have a little bit of a gap in my time span with Nemo just because I knew him in his draft year, and then I didn't see a whole lot of him, and then I saw him last year, so I don't have a good feel as to how last year compared, but I feel like he definitely, conditioning-wise, he made some really good steps from the time he first came into the league, and he's learned some of the things that are required to play at the next level, and he's addressed those things and put in a full effort in that regard. I thought he had a really productive year in Abbotsford as far as taking the next step forward. I don't know that he got a real great opportunity in his time with the Flames. It was sort of spot duty and obviously short-term injury based, but I think he's moving in the right direction, that he continues to do the things he's doing, and as he continues to mature and develop, I think he's getting close to a point where when he gets a chance he'll really be able to take advantage of it instead of just having the cup of coffee kind of thing.
his last time up was called his best by a lot of people that saw him in the NHL. What did he do there, and what kind of things did he do that might get him close to the NHL?
I think the biggest challenge for him, and we talked about his end-of-year meeting, is his lower body strength and being able to move. Like when his legs are going and he's skating, and he's sort of in perpetual motion, which is what he did in that last stint, that sort of opens up, activates his hands and his brain and everything else that makes him such a good hockey player. I think in some of his earlier times up, the pace was quick for him, and he had trouble getting his feet moving. And and he's the kind of guy, just like really any player, but if you struggle with the pace, you never really even get to see what you could do hands-wise and head-wise. So the big emphasis for him in the off-season was lower body strength and skating dynamics. Like the more easily this guy can move around the rink, the more he's going to open up the game for his hands and his head and the other things that he does so well.